Hello, and welcome to Say What You See, Writing Effective Alt Text for Course Content. My name is Valdez Bean, and I'll be taking you through this short video training on adding alternative text to images in your course. In this training, we'll talk about what is alt text, followed by what are image descriptions. Then we'll talk about how to alt text, followed by a demo in adding alt text to images in Canvas, PowerPoints, Word documents, and PDFs. So, what is alt text? Alt text, or alternative text, is a short description of the content of an image that is read aloud by a screen reader. Alt text is embedded in the metadata of the image. Alt text should be 120 characters or less, or around 2 sentences. And alt text describes the meaning the image is trying to convey. Alt text is only visible to screen readers. Now, what are image descriptions? Image descriptions are also descriptions that are used by screen readers to recognize images, but image descriptions are slightly different from that of alt text, as it's often in the image caption rather than in the metadata of an image, like alt text would be. All readers of a document will see the image description. Image descriptions go more in depth about visual details due to a larger character limit. Image descriptions can be a paragraph or more depending on the detail needed to fully capture the description. Graphs, flowcharts, and other complex images benefit from image descriptions over using alt text because there's more information to convey in these types of images. Text. First, we want to determine what you are trying to convey by including the image. The same image can have different alt texts depending on the context. For example, looking at this image of a painting. For an art class, the alt text might read, "Painting by Van Gogh in Post-Impressionism using dramatic brushstrokes. It shows a field with poppies in the foreground, trees in the background, and dark skies." But for a history class, it might read, "Painting of a field covered with poppies. Poppies have become a symbol of remembrance for World War I." Continuing how to alt text. Don't include image of or graphic of in your alt text. A screen reader will already say image of, so if we include this in the alt text, it becomes redundant. Some images are added to a page or document for decoration, and these should be coded for decoration, so screen readers know to skip them. A great example of this is our wave displayed on the screen. That's a decoration, so they're coded as such. And remember to keep the alt text under 120 characters, or consider if it needs an image description, should those 120 characters not suit our needs for the image. How to alt text continued. Now I'm going to demo for you a couple of examples on how to add alt text in different programs. We'll start with Canvas, then go to PowerPoint, then a Word document, and then finish off with a PDF example. Here we are in Canvas. I've gone ahead and loaded an image into the Rich Content Editor so that we can add alt text to it. The first way to add alt text to this image is by selecting the image and then Image Options. Here you can add alt text to the alt text box, or mark the image as decorative. You can also change the size of your image on the page. Once you're done, you can hit Done, and those changes will be reflected on your image. The second way to add alt text to an image in Canvas is by using the Canvas Accessibility Checker. Here, any images that don't have alt text or have alt text with an issue with it will pop up. You can change the alt text or mark the image as decorative and then hit Apply. This will change the alt text in the metadata of the image. The third way to add alt text to an image is similar to the second, except instead of using Canvas's Accessibility Checker, we're using the Ally tool. It works similarly to Canvas Accessibility Checker, as it identifies images on your page without alt text. Here, you can edit your image alt text, and then when you're done, hit Save. Here in PowerPoint, adding alt text to an image is pretty easy. I'll show you 2 ways on how to add alt text to images. The first is by right-clicking your image on your slide. This will pop up View Alt Text. Here you can type in your alt text, and then once you close out of it, it will be reflected in the image. The second way helps you review your entire PowerPoint for accessibility. you can hit this Review tab, then check Accessibility. In this instance, the only thing that's wrong with our PowerPoint is that this image is missing alt text. When you hit that pop-up, you can enter your alt text, and then when you close out of it, it will be reflected in your PowerPoint. Since Microsoft Word is also a Microsoft Office product, adding alt text to your images is very similar to how you would in PowerPoint. The first way is to right-click on your image, hit View Alt Text, and then add your text to this box. When you close out of it, the text will be embedded into your image. The second way is using the Review tab. Then hit Check Accessibility, and any images in your document without alt text will be identified here. You can add your alt text to this box, and when you close out of it, it will also be embedded into your image. Adding alt text to an image in a PDF can be a bit tricky, but I promise I'll try to make it as easy as possible. Today, I'm using Adobe Acrobat Pro. Here, I have my PDF open and my image inside. To add alt text to this image, I'll go to All Tools and then Prepare for Accessibility. I have it pinned up here because I use this pretty often, but if you don't see it, you can hit View More and it will show somewhere in this tab. So I'll hit Prepare for Accessibility, Check for Accessibility, and here are the settings that I use. Then I'll hit Start Checking. You'll get a pop-up from the Accessibility Checker identifying any accessibility issues within your document, and here we can see alternate text is flagged. If we open that up, it'll show us that this has failed, as in, this image does not have alt text. We can hover over this figure 1, right-click it, and hit Fix. It'll highlight the image that it is failing for alt text, and you can add your alt text here or mark the image as decorative. When you hit Save and Close, it will embed the alt text into the image on the PDF. Thanks for watching Say What You See, writing effective alt text for course content. My name is Valdez Bean, and if you have any additional questions, you can schedule a consult with me or send me an email at v.bean@unf.edu or to the general CERT email at certlab@unf.edu for additional assistance.